Morphology of flowering plants, the inflorescence, flower, fruit, and seed. The inflorescence. A flower is a modified shoot. A shoot apical meristem changes to floral meristem. The axes get condensed and internodes do not elongate. Different kinds of floral appendages are produced by the apex laterally at successive nodes instead of leaves. It is always solitary when the shoot tip transforms into a flower. Inflorescence is the arrangement of flowers on the floral axis. Two major types of inflorescence are defined depending on whether the apex continues to grow or gets developed into a flower, racemose and cymose. In racemose type of inflorescence, the flowers are borne laterally in an acropetal succession, and in the main axis continues to grow. In cymose type of inflorescence, the growth is limited and the main axis terminates in a flower wherein the flowers are borne in a basipetal order. The flower. A reproductive unit in angiosperms is the flower and it is meant for sexual reproduction. Four different kinds of whorls are present in a typical flower which are arranged on the swollen end of the stalk or pedicel called thalamus or receptacle. The four whorls include calyx, corolla, androecium and gynecium. Among the four whorls, the accessory organs are the calyx and corolla, while the reproductive organs are the androecium and gynecium. In some flowers, the calyx and corolla are not distinct and are termed as perianth, example lily. A flower is bisexual when it has both androecium and gynecium. A flower is unisexual when it has either only stamens or only carpels. The flower may be actinomorphic or zygomorphic in symmetry. In any radial plane, when a flower can be divided into two equal radial halves passing through the center, it is said to be actinomorphic. Example chili, datura, mustard. It is said to be zygomorphic when the flower can be divided into two similar halves only in one particular vertical plane. Example cassia, gulmohar, bean, pea. When a flower cannot be divided into two similar halves by any vertical plane passing through the center, it is asymmetric, as in canna. When the floral appendages are in multiples of 3, 4 or 5, the flower may be trimerous, tetramerous or pentamerous respectively. It is said to be bracteate when flowers are with bracts, reduced leaf, found at the base of the pedicel, and those without bracts are called ebracteate. The flowers are described as hypogynous, perigynous, and epigynous based on the position of calyx, corolla, and androecium in respect of the ovary on thalamus. When the gynecium occupies the highest position and the other parts are situated below the gynecium, the flower is said to be a hypogynous flower. The ovary is said to be superior in such flowers, example China rose, brinjal, and mustard. The flower is said to be perigynous when other parts of the flower are located on the rim of the thalamus and the gynecium is situated in the center almost at the same level. The ovary is said to be half inferior, example peach, rose, plum. When the margin of thalamus grows upwards enclosing the ovary completely and getting fused with it while the other parts of flower arise above the ovary, the flower is said to be an epigynous flower. Hence the ovary is said to be inferior. Example, the ray florets of sunflower, flowers of guava and cucumber. Parts of a flower. Four floral whorls are normally present in each flower, namely calyx, corolla, androecium, and gynecium. Calyx. The outermost whorl of the flower is called the calyx and the members are called sepals. Generally, sepals protect the flower in the bud stage. The sepals are green and leaf-like. The calyx may be gamosepalous where the sepals are united or polysepalous where the sepals are free. Corolla. Corolla consists of petals. To attract insects for pollination, usually the petals are brightly colored. Corolla, like calyx, may also be gamopetalous when the petals are united or polypetalous when the petals are free. Corolla vary greatly in plants in case of shape and color. Corolla may be bell-shaped, tubular, wheel-shaped or funnel-shaped. Estivation. With respect to the other members of the whorl, the mode of arrangement of sepals or petals in a floral bud is known as estivation. Valvate, twisted, imbricate, and vexillary are the main types of estivation. The estivation is said to be valvate when sepals or petals in a whorl just touch one another at the margin without overlapping. Example, calotropis. The estivation is called twisted if one margin of the appendage overlaps that of the next one and so on. Example, cotton, lady's finger, and China rose. The estivation is imbricate when the margins of sepals or petals overlap one another but not in any particular direction. Example, cassia and gulmohar. There are 5 petals in pea and bean flowers, of which the largest petal called the standard petal overlaps the 2 lateral petals called the wing petal, which in turn overlap the 2 smallest anterior petals called the keel petal. This type of estivation is known as papilionaceous or vexillary estivation. Andrecium. Andrecium consists of stamens. The stamen represents the male reproductive organ, which consists of a stalk or a filament and an anther. A single anther is bilobed, in which each lobe has 2 chambers called the pollen sacs. In the pollen sacs, pollen grains are produced. A staminode is the sterile stamen. Stamens may be united among themselves or with other members such as petals in a flower. The stamens are said to be epipetalous when they are attached to the petals, as in brinjal, or the stamens may be epiphyllous when they are attached to the perianth, as in the lily flowers. When the stamens remain free in a flower, they are called polyandrous. The stamens are said to be monoadelphous when they are united into one bunch or one bundle, as in China rose, or when the stamens form 2 bundles they are called diadelphous, as in pea, or when they form more than 2 bundles they are said to be polyadelphous, as in citrus. The length of filaments may vary within a flower, as in salvia and mustard. Gynecium. The female reproductive part of the flower is called the gynecium, and it is made up of one or more carpels. Stigma, style and ovary are the 3 parts of a carpel. The elongated tube called the style lies over the enlarged basal part, the ovary. The ovary is connected to the stigma by the style. At the tip of the style, the stigma is present, and the stigma is a receptive surface for pollen grains. One or more ovules are present in each ovary, and these ovules are attached to a flattened cushion-like placenta. A carpel is said to be apocarpous when more than one carpel is present and they are free, as in lotus and rose. In mustard and tomato, the carpels are fused and are termed syncarpous. After fertilization, the ovary matures into a fruit and the ovules develop into seed. Placentation. Arrangement of ovules within the ovary is called placentation. There are different types of placentations, namely marginal, axial, parietal, basal, central, and free central. When the placenta forms a ridge along the ventral suture of the ovary, and on this ridge the ovules are borne forming 2 rows, it is said to be marginal placentation. Example, P. The placenta is said to be axial when the ovules are attached to it in a multilocular ovary. Example, lemon, tomato, and China rose. When the ovules develop on the inner wall of the ovary or on peripheral part, it is said to be parietal placentation. Ovary is one-chambered, but due to the formation of the false septum, it becomes 2-chambered. Example, argemone and mustard. When the septa are absent and the ovules are borne on central axis, the placentation is called free central, as in dianthus and primrose. As in sunflower, marigold, when the placenta develops at the base of the ovary and the single ovule is attached to it, the placentation is said to be basal placentation. The fruit. A characteristic feature of the flowering plants is the fruit. The fruit is a ripened or a mature ovary developed after fertilization. The fruit is called the parthenocarpic fruit if it is formed without fertilization of the ovary. Generally, the fruit is made up of a wall or pericarp and seeds, and the pericarp may be fleshy or dry. The pericarp is differentiated into the outer epicarp, the middle mesocarp, and the inner endocarp when the pericarp is thick and fleshy. The fruit is known as a drupe in mango and coconut. The drupes are one-seeded and they develop from monocarpellary superior ovaries. The pericarp in a mango is well differentiated into an inner stony hard endocarp, a middle fleshy edible mesocarp, and an outer thin epicarp. The mesocarp is fibrous in a coconut, which is also a drupe. The seed. Seeds develop from the ovules after fertilization. The seed consists of a seed coat and an embryo. An embryo consists of a radicle, an embryonal axis, and one cotyledon as in wheat, maize, or two cotyledons as in gram and pea. Structure of the dicotyledonous seed. The seed coat is the outermost covering of a seed. The outer testa and the inner tegmen are the two layers of the seed coat. The developing seed were attached to the fruit through the hilum, which forms a scar on the seed coat. The micropyle is a small pore above the hilum. An embryonal axis and two cotyledons are present in the embryo, which in turn is present within the seed coat. The cotyledons are full of reserve food materials and they are often fleshy. The radicle and the plumule are present at the two ends of the embryonal axis. The endosperm formed as a result of double fertilization is a food storing tissue in some seeds such as castor, and such seeds are called endospermic seeds. When the endosperm is not present in mature seeds such as bean, gram, and pea, such seeds are called non-endospermous seeds. Structure of monocotyledonous seed. Monocotyledonous seed are generally endospermic, but in some monocotyledonous seeds, as in orchids, the seeds are non-endospermic. The seed coat is membranous and generally fused with the fruit wall in the seeds of cereals such as maize. The endosperm stores food and is bulky. Aleurone layer is a proteinaceous layer that separates the outer covering of endosperm from the embryo. The small embryo is present in a groove at one end of the endosperm. One large and shield-shaped cotyledon known as scutellum and a short axis with a plumule and a radicle is present in the embryo. The plumule is enclosed in a sheath called the coleoptile and the radicle is enclosed in a sheath called coleorhiza respectively. Semi-technical description of a typical flowering plant. A flowering plant is described using various morphological features. The description of a flowering plant should be brief in a simple and scientific language and presented in a proper sequence. The description of a plant should begin with its habit, vegetative characters such as roots, stem, and leaves, and then floral characters, inflorescence, and flower parts. The floral diagram and the floral formula are presented after describing various parts of plant. Some symbols present the floral formula. In the floral formula, BR stands for bracteate, K stands for calyx, C for corolla, P for perianth, A for androecium, and G for gynecium. G with an underscore for superior ovary and G for inferior ovary. For bisexual plants, for actinomorphic, and a percentage sign for zygomorphic nature of flower. Enclosing the figure within brackets indicates the fusion of a line drawn above the symbols of the floral parts indicates adhesion. Information about the number of parts of a flower, their arrangement, and the relation they have with one another is provided by a floral diagram. A dot on the top of the floral diagram represents the position of the mother axis with respect to the flower. Successive whorls of calyx, corolla, androecium and gynecium are drawn with gynecium being in the center and calyx being the outermost whorl. Cohesion and adhesion within parts of whorls and between whorls is shown in the floral formula. Please share this video with your friends. Leave your comments below and please subscribe to my channel for more content. Click the bell notification that would let you know when a new video is uploaded. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, please subscribe to my channel for more content.